All right. We are back once again with the Yield Behavior. This is the Yield Bill, and welcome to the Chill Bill Show. Hey, hit the subscribe button if you get any kind of value out of this, entertainment purposes and whatnot. Good conversation starter. Hey, Alexander Grace. This guy, he be making some good videos. Like, I've gotten a lot of good information out of this guy, and I appreciate him. So go ahead and send this man a good follow, too. But in this situation, why we need to bring back shame? Look, Myron Gaines, he's one, from Fresh and Fit podcast. He's the one that always preaches that we need to bring back shame. And I think Pearl also, she mentioned, she probably got that from Myron. And both of these guys probably got it from Kevin Samuels. But the point is shame created guidelines, right? It created a framework for within us to operate, whether it was the church or community, family, whatever. But now there is no shame in nobody's game. I cannot believe some of the things I hear and see on the internet. And the thing is, I remember before there was an internet. You can tell, right? So I remember AOL chat rooms and shit. We didn't even have images, right? There were like no pictures. It was just words on a screen. God only knows like who the other person was. You know what I'm saying? And maybe in the beginning, it was more like, a certain kind of people that were kind of savvy with the technology or whatever. But now anybody can be on social media. Anybody can. Anybody and everybody are. You know what I mean? And we have no shame. They'll just do whatever. So let's go ahead. Let's check it out, man.
I'm glad we're starting to turn a new leaf and admit that shame needs to be brought back to society on a extremely aggressive level. The fact that girls will just go on the street and do interviews that go viral and say the craziest shit that you literally could not waterboard out of me. They'll just be like, yeah, I cheated on with his brother and then I sucked 10 dicks that night. And you're just like, yeah, this is good. No, that's a good, the fact that you feel no shame, embarrassment, remorse, like quite literally any of the things that make you not a sociopath is really
I 100% agree. For anyone who thinks that shame is not a positive force in this world, let me break this down for you. A world without shame is a world without morality, without standards, without a sense of right and wrong. If you have a moral code, a conscience, a set of principles, then shame is the natural reaction that you have, the emotion that arises when you act contrary to those principles. Let me demonstrate. As a man, you value integrity. So when you lie, cheat, defraud somebody, you act against that integrity, you feel ashamed of yourself, as you should. That's completely normal and natural. The shame that you're feeling is evidence that you do have a moral code. But therefore, if you have a woman who says, I have no shame, you can't shame me, what she's admitting is that she has no morality. Observe.
Y'all really on this app thinking you can hurt my feelings by slut shaming me when there is nothing wrong with being a slut. Try again, baby. I'm for the streets and I'm proud of it.
Because she has no morality, no sense at all that her sluttiness is problematic, she can't feel shame. Women like this actually don't know what morality is. The concept of some behaviors or some choices being more moral or less moral and they should be compared and valued against each other, that concept is completely foreign to women like this.
This is wild too. Like how do you have a society with people that have no shame, and then like are there still people with shame, or does that kind of like get eroded over a while? You know what I mean? Like, well, if nobody cares, why should I care, right? Like that kind of thing. And this girl, she looks like she's 14 years old, which is crazy. Like, I don't even know what to say about that, but whatever. Let's keep it going.
They live in a moral wasteland. So you ask the question, in the absence of any standards for behavior, how do you judge morality? How do modern women who think like this determine whether something is good or bad, right or wrong? I encourage you to try it out. Find one of these modern women and tell them a behavior that you think is immoral. And I guarantee what's going to happen is she's going to say, it's completely fine so long as everybody gives their consent. They will never have a discussion about the actual merits of a certain behavior or choice. They'll always bring it back to consent, about whether or not people have made a choice to do that. Even if you try and argue your point on the merits, she's just going to become defensive and say, well, I have the right to do that. I have the freedom to do that. Who are you to try and control me? You say...
And you see this in every one of these interviews, all these like podcasts and talk shows, right, where you got these OF models and these like other workers and stuff that are just like oh well I'll do whatever I want, and or she's free to do whatever, don't judge her or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, well, no, somebody's got to judge somebody. Right? If nobody judges anybody, if there's no shame, like if there's no morality, how are you even trustworthy? Like that's my biggest issue too, is how are you functioning in a society where the people that you're dealing with have no framework to operate within, right? Because then it's about them and whatever they deem is good for them, right?
I don't think women should sleep around. They shouldn't just have sex with anybody. And she says, who are you to restrict women's sexual choices? You say, I think women should embrace their femininity. And she says, who are you to dictate how a woman should behave? You can't control her. You say, I think it's wonderful when women celebrate and embrace motherhood. She says, stop trying to enslave women, forcing them to have children. Do you see the sleight of hand that is occurring here? You keep trying to have a discussion about the moral merits of an action, but she keeps reframing that discussion to make it about consent, always implying that you're trying to restrict her freedom, trying to control her behavior. This new generation of women has adopted the view that consent equals morality. In other words, any action that she takes is justified because it's her choice. It's good because she chose to do it.
And that's wild, right? Like I was listening to Kevin Samuels' video the other day, and he was talking about the generational shift that happened where the boomers just started from there. It was like the dominoes fell, you know what I mean? And prior to that, it was, nuclear family, and then it was come home, okay, have a bunch of babies, and then all of a sudden, okay, well, get your education and do for you, and birth control, so now you can have sex without recourse, right? And then all of a sudden it's take care of you. Oh, you don't need no man. Oh, like it's just like these stages of changes, right? And now we're in a situation where, and as a kid, obviously I didn't have half the knowledge that I have now about these topics, right? But I lived through the changes that were happening to the female population. Like I used to go to the clubs and stuff and different bars, and I played a lot of music in a lot of states, a lot of cities, and in different countries. And I remember seeing the clothing shift in these girls, right? Like you go, don't get me wrong, there's always girls that, dress a little bit more promiscuous and stuff, but especially like these like rave events or dance music events, these girls would wear, big pants, kickwear, you know what I mean? Have on like, outfits of a lot of different clothing and stuff like that. And it's just gotten less and less and less and less. And now if you go to an event, underage girls are walking around wearing nothing. So like, I don't even go anymore. I don't want to be in that environment because it's weird, right? It's like, okay, I know for a fact you're 16. I know you're 15. Why are you walking around dressed like that? Why are you even here? How are you even able to be here? And it's like, society just doesn't even care anymore. And it's been a weird shift. It's been a weird shift, man. I'm telling you. And we're not done. It's only getting worse.
You can see that doesn't really make sense. Consent is not a moral code. Whether or not you are free to choose to do something tells you absolutely nothing about whether or not that thing is good to do, whether that choice is a positive one or not. Consider this woman.
How long have you been dating?
We're not dating.
Oh, dating. But y'all hooking up?
Yeah. Hooking up.
Would you hook up with me?
Sure.
You would?
Yeah.
Can I hug you?
Sure.
So gross. Okay, I'm going to make the case that this woman's actions and her choices are immoral. But first, I'm going to affirm all the things that she is free to do. All the things that exist perfectly freely within her own consent. She is free to wear that trashy dress that barely covers her underwear. She is free to be publicly intoxicated. She's free to have sex with a man that she's not even dating. She is free to disrespect that man by hooking up with another guy in front of him. All of these things she's free to do by her choice with her own consent. These are decisions that she's absolutely allowed to make, but none of that makes her choices moral. Morality is concerned.
Do we need to run that back? Like, my man could not have said this any better. That behavior is so trifling. And just because I can do it, should I do it, right? Like, that's basically what he's saying, is just because she can do it, should she do it? And if there were consequences for her actions, right? If she actually suffered consequences for her actions, then she wouldn't do it, right? If she stopped hugging him, turned around, and dude was gone, right? Like keys, puff of smoke, stage left, right? Blah, 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 and went and found himself another chick. If she had done that, she wouldn't do that shit ever again. You know what I'm saying? If she had to walk home drunk and stupid, half dressed like a retard, pardon my language, she would never do that shit again. But because she's going to get done hugging him, and then she's going to go back to this dude who's going to like try to smash or whatever, which obviously she's too drunk to even be given consent, it looks like, right? She'll never learn her lesson from that behavior.
Concerned with what is good, what is right, what is desirable. And by that standard, it's clear that self-destruction is not a good thing. Getting drunk, dressing slutty, sleeping around, disrespecting the man that you're with, this is not good. This is not helping anybody. This is to nobody's benefit. I could not disagree with this woman's choices anymore, but it is incredibly dishonest to frame my objections, my criticisms of her behavior as immoral, as in any way me restricting her freedom. Me saying that I think that she's acting really stupid is not violating or undermining her consent to live her life the way that she wants. Words are not violence, and my disapproval is not control. While I am ethically obliged to respect your freedom to make whatever choices you want with regards to your own life, that does not extend to me being forced to morally approve of all of your choices, to consider them moral. What we're talking about...
Bow! Like, again, it couldn't be framed any better, right? Like, you can make whatever damn decisions you want, but that doesn't mean that I have to be okay with you making them. And that's why I was saying, if she suffered some consequences from that shit, meaning the dude just bounced, looked at her like, yo, you're crazy, I'm out, and just left. And that happened, maybe not the first time, but second, third time, she would never do it again. She'd be like, oh shit, these guys are leaving every time I act crazy. I need to keep my stuff in check. You know what I'm saying? But he doesn't, and men don't. And they put up with this kind of behavior all for a little bit of box, and she'll continue to act this way because she'll reap no repercussions from it.
Here is the difference between negative freedom and positive freedom. I'm going to explain what I mean by that in just a moment, but first I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Bathmate. A lot of guys dismiss penis pumps because they think it's just guaranteed. That's amazing.
Why are you doing advertisements for penis pumps, man? Crazy.
You want to find out more about how it works, click the link in the description box to make those choices.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
And at the same time, receive universal moral approval from those around them. They can't make those choices and then expect that they're going to do so in an environment that's just always celebrating and cheering.
Women do that all the time. They always expect to not have any accountability for their actions, right? For their decisions that they make, right? They're going to sit there and say, for instance, the way she dresses, I should be able to go out wearing nothing, right? Wearing a mini skirt and a tube top, and I should be able to do, well, you can do that. Nobody's telling you you can't do that, but you're going to attract the wrong attention. You're going to suffer consequences from that. Well, I shouldn't suffer those consequences. I should be able to, look, if I go out and I'm tripped out, right, and I'm walking down the street, I'm going to suffer the consequences from that too, right? Like it to sit there and say I should be able to walk with $100K worth of diamonds on me is fucking stupid, right?
Cheering them on. They can't force me to give my moral approval. And the expectation that they should be able to act however they want without any kind of judgment is incredibly childish or even borderline narcissistic.
Sure. Some people may not agree, but this is exactly the way most people feel about the trans movement, right? You should be, you can go out, you can do whatever you want, you can say whatever you want, you can call yourself whatever it is you want, right? And I respect your ability to do so, but that doesn't mean I have to agree with what it is that you're saying.
Sure, I get it. It might be nice if every
And that's the same thing with anything, right? You could take your car to a mechanic and you say, "Hey, I got a rattle in the back where my muffler is," and he says, "Oh, you need new brakes up front." You don't have to agree. You know what I mean? If you have any kind of education, you can be like, "Well, I appreciate your thorough investigation, but I'm going to go ahead and take it to somebody else and get a second opinion," right? Like, I mean, we don't automatically agree with everybody, but we respect what it is they do. But you know,
everybody
come
was
on.
constantly cheering you on, telling you that your choices are incredible. But how delusional are you to think that you're entitled to that? These modern women, they've got to stop whining and whinging because they can't have it all.
Being a woman is hard. You have no boobs? You better grow some. You have boobs? Cover yourself up. You have no ass? Everyone will laugh at you. You have an ass? You better cover yourself up. You don't want to attract too much attention. You're short? You better wear high heels. You're tall? You cannot be taller than men. You're skinny? You better eat something. You're chubby? You better starve yourself. Otherwise, no one will find you pretty. Breaking news, you might as well do whatever you want because you'll be shamed anyway.
God, women like this are so insufferable, crying and complaining because they don't get universal approval. What exactly does she think that she's entitled to? That everybody agree with every choice that she makes? That everyone approves of everything that she does and considers every one of her choices to be moral? She thinks that's reasonable to expect that? God, spare me. And again, you can see the deceptive framing of this discussion, you know, when we're talking about being too skinny or too fat. It's not about the merits of those choices. No, the discussion's always centered on men expressing their preferences, trying to control and shame women. It's so frustrating. We saw in my course how difficult it is to deal with women like that. But then what's the alternative?
She would never bring that energy about a man's height, his wallet, you know what I mean? Like whether or not he was chubby or had the 6-pack abs or 6 inches or whatever. Like they have all these preferences and they're supposed to be allowed those, right? It's supposed to be their standards and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But look at all the complaints that she just had. Like if a man, you just flip that around, right? All those little things, you know? Oh, you're too tall, you're this. You're too short, you're this. You're broke, you're this. Too much money, you're this. You're da 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 da. Right? It's the same thing, right? But if a man complained about it, then
Alternative. What does it look
probably go viral on Reddit.
like when a woman actually engages in good faith in a moral discussion about the merits of certain choices? When she doesn't just cry victim and scream out, "I'm free to do this, you can't control me," but she actually engages in the substance of the discussion. Well, let's take 2 typical examples. Number 1, that women shouldn't be sleeping around and just racking up huge numbers. And number 2, that she shouldn't be dressing slutty in public. Again, not saying she doesn't have the freedom to do those things. I'm just saying these are not moral choices. They're not good for her. They're not to her benefit. Well, let's hear from a woman who actually engages in the substance and discusses the morality of those choices.
Are you a virgin?
Yes,
And how old are you?
I'm 21.
Why haven't you done the deed yet?
The key to a strong society is family. And so, in my view, choosing my future husband is like the most important decision I'll ever make. And I'm somebody that I know my heart and I know that I fall really hard when I meet somebody. So I want to retain some level of objectivity when I'm selecting a future partner. And I know that if I had sex with them, I would be completely imprinted on them. And instead of being like, okay, is this person, do they have the qualities that I'm looking for in a husband? Or am I just making it work instead of like seeing red flags and leaving?
God,
Before he even says anything, one, she's like the diamond in the rough, right? There are very few women out there that are like her, which is just amazing. There should be many more. But what she's talking about is kind of like what guys, like the opposite of that, like post, bust clarity, right? That men get. She's talking about the opposite of that. She's basically stating that because she hasn't had sex with anybody, that she is able to accurately gauge the man that she's with. She's able to objectively view him in all of his qualities and his negatives, right? She's able to objectively view those and to gauge him based on his actual merits, right? And when she meets her husband, she'll be able to see him for what he is 100% without this extra fog, right? And then when she makes her choice, then she can give all of herself to her husband and know that situation, she's going to be completely enveloped in her relationship. I think that's so amazing. When she finally does, meet the guy or decide to sell whatever it is, she's going to be like a freight train in her relationship. You know what I mean? But like in a good way. Like she's going to be so involved in it, so involved in him, so clear-eyed about what she wants and how she's moving forward in life and all these. The whole grass is greener, right? That's not going to happen with this girl. It's going to be very, very difficult for that to happen with her, because when she makes her decision, she's going to know that it was the most logical and most clearer decision that she was ever able to make, as opposed to a woman who has sex with men, right? And she's like, well, is he into me? Is it that he's feeling me? And there's all this, and then, oh, well, that guy, there's all these other things that just muddy the waters, right? And make it like impossible for her to like have that same kind of vision. Like, good, big ups on her.
Wasn't that refreshing to hear? A thoughtful, considered, rational response. Not just screaming, my body, my choice, everyone's trying to control me, la la la. Actually engaging with the content of the question and discussing the merits and the reasoning behind her choice. She's showing self-awareness. She's showing insight. Let's hear what she says about clothing.
Is there any reason why you're dressed so modestly instead of revealing like most women tend to do when they come out to Miami?
I mean, this is just my personal sense of style. I just think it's respectful to others and to my future partner, and to myself, to just cover myself up more. I know that I, take care of myself. I'm pretty athletic, but I don't need to have that on display.
This is what a true discussion of morality looks like. Engaging with the merits of a decision, considering the impact of your behavior on others and on yourself. When people write to me on Hey Hero asking for moral guidance, I don't tell them, well, you're free to do that if you want, because that doesn't tell them anything. They want to actually know, are these decisions going to be good for me or are they going to harm me? It is such a painfully childish and superficial idea of morality to only talk about whether or not you're free to do something. Let me say it again. Consent is not a measure of morality. Whether you are free to do something tells you nothing about whether that is actually a good idea. And what I'm about to say, I say with 100% women's best interests at heart. But modern women, feminism has got you facing the wrong direction. It's got you looking out for a boogeyman. You keep expecting that in the shadows around the corner, there's going to be this sexist patriarch who's just desperate to steal away your rights and restrict your freedom. They are provoking this fear inside your psyche constantly, and it's getting inside.
I don't know any man who gives a damn about any, I don't know any husband, any boyfriend, any single guy, like any dude playing any part in any role in a relationship with any woman that feels that way, unless he's like a pimp or something, you know what I mean? But that's the odd, right? That's not your average guy, right? Your average guy just wants to go to work, come home, took a nice clean smelling house, maybe a meal, and if there's kids involved, then they're happy and taken care of, and hopefully no drama, nice smile, and someone soft who appreciates him, right? Like it's
inside your head, so that in every conversation that you're having about the morality of your choices, you keep bringing that frame back to, well, I'm allowed to do it, I'm free to do it. Modern women have been so obsessed with the discussion of whether or not they're free to do something that they've forgotten to actually have the discussion about whether that thing is a good idea. Ladies, if you live in the West, let me ease your worries and make you feel safe. You have freedom. You have rights. You are free to make your own choices, even bad choices. I mean, my God, over the last couple of decades, we've certainly seen enough evidence that yes, everybody, man and women included, can make terrible, terrible choices about the way that they choose to live their lives, and they are free to do so. No one's coming to restrict that. Now, that's been established, okay? Feel good, feel safe. You can make bad choices if you really, really want to, but please, don't let that be the end of the discussion. Have some curiosity in your mind. Okay, I am free to do stupid things, but should I do them? Are these choices that I'm making actually benefiting me?
Men don't like that. Women with face, hair, neck tattoos, quality men don't like that. Women walking around here with these inflated butts following behind them like wagons. There are men that like that, but it's definitely not a quality man because quality men don't like that. Women who are in and out the strip club, making it rain, acting like real live dudes. You're not a man. How unattractive. Quality men don't like that. Women who are in and out of relationships. In November, you with Ray Ray. In December, you with Tay Tay. Not only do you look trashy, you look nasty. Quality men don't like that. A quality man may play with that, but a quality man will never commit to that because quality men don't like women like that. However, you do you. But a quality man wants a quality lady who carries herself like a real lady. Quality men don't find shot out, thugged out women interesting, attractive, or appealing. That's why most are single, ringless, in and out of relationships because quality men won't settle down with women like that. And yes, it is a man's job for him to respect a woman, but it's a woman's job to give him something to respect. Be smart, date smart, choose wisely.
Now, men, maybe some of you are confused.
That was pretty smart. Yeah, I like that. It's a woman's job to give her man something to respect, right? Like, whoa, we would think that'd be so easy, that would just be common sense.
Because you don't understand how you can reconcile a value system that criticizes choices, but also grants people the freedom to make those choices. Isn't it a case of if you don't like what somebody is doing, you force them to stop? No, that's a very basic childlike version of morality and a way of interacting with other people. There's a much more sophisticated moral code that you should be living by. If you want to hear what that system of morality looks like, I give a full explanation in the full version of this video, which is available on my Patreon. Here on YouTube, what I post is only the shortened, abridged version.
Cool, brother. Cool. You know, my entire life I've been able to make it just about any decision that I want to about whatever it is that I want to. And there's no way I would have chosen any of this stuff that these girls be doing. Y'all are tripping. Some of y'all are tripping for sure. And, you know, it's all good. It's all good, right? take your your freedoms and you know, do with it what you may. Oh man, more ill behavior. Hey, Chill with Bill. I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for stopping by. Subscribe if you found any of it entertaining. All right, y'all. Peace.